There are riots going on in major cities all over the world right now as we speak, even rent-a-mobs. There's so many people who will take advantage of things like this. So I want to give you 6 steps to avoid or escape and survive a riot. All right, so have a pen ready to write these down. Now the first is, number 1, awareness. Awareness is number 1. See, read the wind. Like the ninja, read the wind. The moment I saw that guy get killed by that cop, I knew there would be riots, at least nationwide, if not worldwide. I knew right away. So accordingly, I know that I'm not going to go downtown. I'm not going to go to crowded areas, and I'm going to observe. See, awareness is number 1. If you're not aware of these things and where they're happening in your city, you could bumble right into it. All right? So that's important, is awareness. Now, number 2 is to control your emotions. You should always control your emotions. Be an ace. ACE. Always control emotions, because the opposite is also true. If you don't control emotions, then emotions control you. And then you are the puppet instead of the puppet master. So control your emotions. Always control your emotions. So when these things happen, we feel a justifiable outrage. We see a wrongdoing. We see a killing that shouldn't have happened. We see a horrible injustice. But we must control our emotions in order to think objectively and tactically. And that's huge. Control your emotions. If you don't control your emotions, you'll make mistakes. This isn't just advice for getting out of riots or avoiding riots. This is great advice for all of life. Part of self-mastery is mastering your emotions. So learn when there's crises like the pandemic or the riots, use that as training to control your emotions. Does that make sense? All right, now, number 3 is avoid it altogether if you can. If you know it's going to be there, don't go. That's pretty simple, right? Don't go to where the riots are happening, to where the people are gathering up and protesting. Simply don't go. Avoid those areas. Now, if you're stuck, let's say you get stuck and you happen to be there. Maybe you're working downtown at your job and you look and there's a big mob of people. Okay, this is number 4. Avoid the center. Here's what I mean. Avoid the center. The center of that mob, there may be some speaker, some leader. Every pack of thugs, every pack of wolves, every pack always has a loudmouth, a leader, someone who tends to be leading that, and they'll tend to be in the center. You want to avoid that, because in the center is where it gets riled up. Okay, so you want to avoid the center. If you find yourself in the center, first of all, avoid that if you can. And then, of course, number 5 is to surf the tide. Now, this is important. Here's what I mean by surf the tide. If you find yourself in the center, okay, and there's a tidal wave, you face a tidal wave, you're going to get run over. Boom! So what do? You surf off at a 45-degree angle. In other words, you're going to have to go with the crowd, because if you turn and point into the crowd, you're going to get run over. So instead, what you do is you angle out, 45-degree angle. Does that make sense? You angle out from the center. Here you are in the center. Here's the pack. Here you are to the side. You want to get to the edges, to the side, to the edges. Then you can make your way out. Calmly, tactfully, remember, controlling emotions, but we have to move in such a way that we surf the tide, 45-degree angle out to the edges. Make sense? You want to be at the edges where there's less people, then you can just walk away. Which leads us to number 6, which is going to almost seem strange, but that is avoid law enforcement at the time of riots. Here's why. They're worked up. They come in riot gear. They don't know the difference. They don't know who's who. They don't know what innocent person just happened to be there and isn't involved in it at all. The emotions are running high. Imagine 2 dogs fighting, biting each other. You go in and try to break up those dogs, you're going to get bit. So that is actually a time to calmly avoid law enforcement. Unless you need direct help, I wouldn't go to them asking what to do or anything like that. I would just stay away. You want to just veer away at that time. And I'm all for backing the badge, by the way. Just let them do their job. Stay out of the way of the fire, okay? So those are the 6 steps. Number 1, awareness. Number 2, control emotions. Number 3, avoid it altogether. Number 4 is avoid the center. If you can't avoid it altogether and you're caught in it, avoid the center. Number 5 is to surf the tide, surf the wave, to angle out, right? And number 6, avoid law enforcement, avoid trouble. Just get out of there. And how do you get out of there? You have to surf that tide. You have to angle out at a 45-degree angle and get to the edges. All right, my friends, that is how to either avoid or escape and survive a riot. And also having practical martial skill. You don't want to stand there and fight with 20 people. You will eventually succumb. So therefore, instead, you want to use it tactfully just to get out. Just use that tactical mind to get out, to edge away. This is very good advice. Write it down and remember it.